Hello and welcome to the Face of Pro-Life. Today I'm speaking with Friar Roderic Burke, who is from the Franciscanfriars of the Immaculate. He's also known as the roving reporter on AirMaria. Thank you for joining me today, Friar Roderic.
It's good to be here, Corinn.
So the last time I saw you, it was pouring rain down in Washington, D.C.
It was cold.
It was cold. We were there for the March for Life,
right.
which was another unbelievable event.
That's right. It was unbelievable. It was, I think, because of the rain. You know, we can expect lots of people coming out when the sun's shining and it's not so bad. But when the rain's pouring and the skies are gray and the wind's howling and the temperatures are close to freezing, you really do think that no one's going to show up, and sure enough, everyone does. And
with smiling faces, for the most part, too. Yeah. You know, it's like a big celebration of life.
That's right.
Truly.
It is.
So tell us a little bit about your goals for the day and how that played out.
Yeah, well, we went there with cameras to take footage of the whole event, and one of the things we wanted to do at the event itself. We also did some filming at other events related to the march, but during that day we wanted to get some indication of the youth who attend and the size of the event. All these plans got kind of washed out, if you will, because of all the rain coming down, so we had to deal with keeping our cameras dry. We had some plastic bags to help protect us and stuff, but it was a challenge.
It really was. I mean, it was a miserable day. My kids were just so whiny because it was just darn cold.
I don't blame them. I was whining too.
and wet, and it was yucky. And that is one thing that everybody's starving for. Who's ever been to the March for Life is really good footage of the crowd, because you'll never ever see like the full crowd, and you can't imagine how many people are there, because you can only get a little snippet of a packed street here and there, and it'd be wonderful next time if you could get a helicopter for us.
Exactly. No, that'd be a great thing to have, and of course the price tag's a little high. But, even EWTN does not do that. They were present and do have some good coverage, and they had some scissor lift type things that went up like 20 feet in the air, which had a good view of the main Constitution Avenue. A big segment of that, and so they were able to get some great footage and stuff of that. But it's a big challenge. It's such a huge crowd. It covers acres, and by the time the crowd gets to the Supreme Court, which is the end of the march, the people haven't really left the monument area where it starts. Right. So and there is no clear shot that gets the whole length of the march. So because there's kind of a jag in the street there. So it's hard to get an overall picture of how big this crowd is. But it's somewhere around 300,000 people. Even the secular mass media is saying that it really draw a crowd of over 250,000 people. Yeah,
and it gets bigger every year.
Right.
It's just amazing.
So March for Life did say that it was the biggest one ever.
Wow.
So to have that happen in that kind of conditions is really a testimony. I think it's probably a testimony to how young the crowd is too, because an older crowd wouldn't be able to handle it or be some.
They'd be a little smarter.
Be a little smarter, right? There's lots to watch on EWTN this year, yes.
It amazes me because we went a little early. We went on Sunday morning, and we attended the Mass at the Basilica. Yeah. And I've always wanted to go to the Vigil Mass, but we've never been there because we always go on the bus and get there in the morning. And the Basilica was, packed. There was, all of the pews were filled. Okay. All of the side of the pews were filled. All of the stairwells were filled. All of the side chapels were filled.
Wow.
The whole basement was filled because they have side chapels in the basements, and they had little TV monitors in EWTN broadcast the Mass in there. All of the back where like a lot of the kids sleep in the crypt, that was all filled. The crypt chapel was filled.
Wow.
And just like, the whole place, you couldn't walk.
So it's like 5,000 people there at least. Yeah.
It was easily. And when we took the kids there, we kind of tried to hide the fact that the Mass was 3 hours going to be 3 hours long, okay? And my friend and I were thinking, 3 hours? How could Mass be 3 hours long? And we were in the crypt church, and from the crypt church emerged all of the seminarians, the priests. The bishops and cardinals must have come from somewhere else, but we saw all the seminarians and priests walk in. It took 38 minutes for the processional.
Wow. We have a huge sanctuary there, so that must take so long to have a procession that fills that sanctuary. Yeah.
So we watched them. All we could see were the heads, bobbing up and down, as they're walking from the basement up until to the main church. But it was so moving and so beautiful that there were that many religious there.
Wow.
And those were just the men, because there were like tons of sisters in the crowd and everything. And it was just so, so beautiful. Of course, communion was like that because there's so many priests.
Okay. It's well organized.
Giving out communion, that communion was less time than the processional.
Well, there's two things about crowds like that in these Catholic events and the Christian pro-life events is that one, well, many things they're very joyful. But it's like at the Madrid last summer, we went there, and there was 2 million Catholics there. So it's just a great time to see how big the church is and how big the pro-life movement is. And how joyful it all is. It's not some sort of depressing thing. It's not some sort of throwback to some sort of medieval drudgery time that you might see depicted on Monty Python. The caricatures are all gone. And the real life is really very beautiful and grand and it's inspiring, and to see that this is only a small portion of the whole pro-life movement, of the whole church, or it's just mind-boggling, and then to see how young they all are too, and it's
that's hope.
Yeah, there's a lot of hope. It's
I was thinking the same thing when we were down at the March for Life, and so when we're at the Mass, the Vigil Mass, and we're walking out, I'm thinking, okay, this is before the crowds get there, because the majority of people don't get there until the morning on all the buses.
Right.
So this was packed already, and I was looking at the crowd, and like you said, there's so many young people there, and the girls there are also ivory girl natural beauty, just beautiful, beautiful girls, and they're so joyful. They don't have the piercings. They don't have the purple hair. They don't even wear makeup, and they're just so beautiful.
Very pure things.
Yeah.
It's very edifying, and another thing is those knees that they is it the size of the crowd. You always run into people that you know.
Oh yeah. So
it's really neat that you can be there at such a big crowd, at this big basilica, or on the big streets of D.C. and the wide open malls they have there, and run into so many people that you know.
And I always run into you.
Yeah, we ran into each other, right? So.
I know. That does blow your mind, because, like you said, there's so many thousands and thousands of people there, and you always run into somebody you know. Now, the one thing, they're always talking about how there's protesters, like the pro-aborts that are there. And I have to say, I think I saw more this year than any other year. There were 2 girls.
I actually tried this year, yeah.
Yeah, there were actually 2 girls that were standing near the Basilica, as we go down to the metro to catch the trains into D.C. And one of them was holding a sign, and I could have cried. It was just so, so sad. It said, "Hoes before embryos," meaning, women before babies. And I'm thinking, why would a girl use a derogatory term like that, to describe women?
Right. Yeah. So.
I mean, you're denigrating yourself.
Yeah, right. It's just not. It's part of the nonsensical mentality and the self-depreciating mentality of the whole sinful culture, really, culture of death.
Yeah, it was really sad.
What can you say about that? Yeah.
And then at the at the Supreme Court building, I saw more protesters this year than ever, which was like, what, 10, 12?
Right.
Maybe 15.
That's about it. They had some somewhere around there. Yeah, I saw 6 last year. Okay, so that might be double the number now.
and that's
the same signs they have last year, and the same. So it's just the same people. They're just getting older, and so.
I just wonder what goes on in their mind when they see these thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people pour by them.
Thousands, yeah. So, it's really, it must, for us, it's quite a shot in the arm. For them, it must be quite a depressing thing.
Oh, I know. It's got to be scary.
But yeah, so we try to capture all that on film, and we. What we're doing, we're not doing a very good job, but it actually turned out better than we thought. Where we have a clip that we'd like to show.
Oh, good. Okay, so we can show the audience the clip. This was taken in the rain.
In the rain, yeah.
In Washington D.C.
We had bags over our bodies to keep dry, and over our cameras to keep them dry. But we still got some. Raindrops on the lens there, so
that's artistic, right?
Yeah, adds a little effect.
So we'd like to roll that tape for our audience, and we'll come back and talk about it. That was really good.
I know better than we thought when we were doing it. For
I noticed that the kids, when they're going like this,
Right.
I know they're saying, "We love babies." Yes, we do. We love babies. How about you?
That's right. Yeah, so we, it's almost a rock concert kind of appeal to it, to the whole event, really. I mean, but with this clip, we did some the music there sort of matched. We tried to make the choreographed a little bit to that.
It did, because it kind of, you could see the energy picking up.
Right.
And I failed to say, when I was mentioning how beautiful the girls are, you have to say that all the boys there too. They're they're gorgeous, clean cut, young men. Well behaved.
Right, well behaved. Right.
How many people out of those hundreds of thousands got arrested?
Right, none. And it was, I mean, they were very well behaved, and there they were in mass in this huge environment, and you could easily see, stories of, repeating stories at rock concerts where they do get out of control, but nothing like that happened here.
I know. And you could imagine too, like we said, we had that handful of pro-abort people standing at the Supreme Court.
Right.
I mean, do you think that if it were the opposite and there were hundreds of thousands of rabidly pro-abortion people, would you stand out there protesting against them?
I've seen what happens when Brian Brown, who's been on the show, did his tour around the country. On his bus, his own wife and family were with him, and they were really abused badly.
Wow.
So they were not well behaved, and it was really quite despicable. But this event is very, very positive.
Very family friendly.
Very family friendly, yeah. So, and you see everyone reacting to the camera too. So as you can tell, it's a youthful crowd that's very not camera shy at all.
Right.
Used to the video cameras and the cam, and we had a little tiny camera on a pole. So that gave us some of the overhead shots which we were trying to use to get some of the overall views. But it was kind of raining and stuff, but it gave us some overhead view of what's going on, and also we could wave it over everyone's heads. That's so if you get that effect that we're flying over everyone's head. It was with that big long, probably 20-foot long aluminum pole with a little tiny GoPro camera on there.
Really?
And so that's what gave us all, and which is HD, and got all those pictures of everyone's banners over their heads, and all the kids were waving and stuff, and it was like a rock concert, some sort of a sky cam going overhead. Yeah.
But it's definitely a joyful event, despite the fact that it was miserable out.
Right.
And just the energy, and like you said, the youthful energy.
That's right.
That is there, and I think even though it's celebrating an extremely dark moment in our country's history, I think with the crowds building and getting younger and younger, you can feel the momentum change.
It is, yeah.
It's like a palpable.
And it keeps growing, and it seems like the leadership of the event is new people are taking over that. There's many events associated with that. You mentioned the Basilica beforehand, but there's also big events at the Verizon Center, and then there was the Students for Life had a big conference of probably 2,000 people in attendance there. So that's one of the largest pro-life conferences there. And so we went there, and there was a huge crowd of a huge event there, and did some interviews there. We heard that the March for Life, or they call it the Walk for Life in the West Coast, had 75,000 people.
Wow.
Which is almost double what they had last year.
This is in California.
California, San Francisco. So it's kind of Liberalville, and to have, and there you will, they do tend to get a more antagonistic crowd as far as more anti pro-life people there. So but they did it at a new place, I think, which is they were a little bit worried about that, but the EWTN was there to cover that as well as the event on 2 days later at the in DC. So that gave a lot of publicity, and the new place is more downtown, so it was actually a better place to do it. So they had hundreds, 75,000 there. And there's all kinds of events throughout the country. I'm not aware of all the events, but I know in Connecticut alone, Hartford and New Haven both had an event on Saturday. and perhaps even Bridgeport had one. I don't recall though. Exactly.
I think Providence had one too.
Providence, okay.
Yeah, a lot of different state capitals have their own March for Lives, or the pro-life groups have the March for Lives at the state capitals.
So it's a national event now. It's really growing. I heard that there's similar things in Canada on their days of anniversary for these tragic bills that go through.
Yeah. But there's been a lot of progress made just in the past few years as far as different pro-life legislation around the country. In different state legislatures.
Okay. Yes.
Not Connecticut or Massachusetts, but but Virginia just passed. Is it Virginia that just passed the ultrasound?
Okay. Great.
Bill. Whereas really, anyone who's having an abortion should have an ultrasound, because you have to know how far along the woman is in order to determine what type of an abortion you're going to use. And what the bill is saying is that the woman has to be offered to be able to view the ultrasound. So if you're going to do the ultrasound, why not offer the woman to see it and give her more information about, before she makes her decision.
Because Planned Parenthood always does that. Anyways, just to be able to plot their dirty deed there.
Well, so they can find out how much money they can charge. Because the farther along the baby is, the more money they can charge. Okay. So, of course, the pro-aborts are complaining that it's invasive. Well, how is putting a probe on the woman's stomach invasive when they're already going to be doing it anyways?
Right. Or not only that, but they're going to be doing far worse.
Exactly.
As far as the operation itself.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, and I would, I always tell a woman, if she's going to go ahead with an abortion, I totally don't understand that. I would not suggest it, but if she is, she should get an ultrasound-guided abortion, because it's safer for her.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of abortionists won't do that.
Right.
So nobody's really looking out for the women's health if they say they are.
It's not about that, and you can see the the outpouring. There's not just men out there at this event, but if anything, there's more women there.
Oh yeah, and young women.
Yes, right. They're just the new generation is really taking this whole thing up, and it's so it's almost a young man's event, especially this year with with all that rain and wind and cold. I just think to myself, I'm getting too old for this. But you don't have to worry about it because there's so many new ones coming in.
It would be logical to think that a lot of these kids that are pro-life are only pro-life because their parents are pro-life, and because pro-life parents have more kids than pro-abortion parents. Then that's why the youth is becoming more and more pro-life. But I've been running into more and more young college students and even a little bit older who are very pro-life, and it turns out that their mothers were pro-choice.
Right. Well, kids are very good at those teenage years of resisting their parents and being rebellious. That's sort of the rebellious age. So you say that they're are they really following being puppets of their parents? Well, that's not the age, and they usually are puppets of the parents.
Right. And I think a lot of kids have seen the devastation that abortion has caused in this country because, they're, a third of their classmates are not there.
Right.
Is your spouse not there? Is the person that you were meant to marry not there? Is your best friend not there? Is your brother or sister not there? So I think kids understand nowadays, that the devastation that abortion has taken.
Yeah, it's getting clearer and clearer, and it's everyone's seeing the devastation of the family, and they're seeing the devastation, even economic devastation, where most wealthy countries in the world are now on the ropes because of not enough people to fill the shoes of the previous generation.
And I think kids are getting more and more involved and innovative too in spreading the pro-life message.
Yeah, right.
I've seen some of my past students post different things, and that it's amazing. Like on Facebook, a young girl I know posted, it was a cartoon of a late-term abortion.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not talking a partial birth abortion, just a late-term abortion where they basically, pull the babies apart. And it opened up this huge dialogue of young people. Oh, they don't do that anymore. And, I was able to insinuate myself because I'm a friend of the girl that's posted it. And you're like, no, they do it. And you can see some of the kids, coming in and say, oh, yeah, they do this and it's wrong. And it was really a great way to inform a large group of kids.
There's a lot of that. And there's the whole, you see a lot of innovation there at the march, that little clip we just showed there, all the different signs that were made and different clever logos and some people carrying whole floats and balloons and banners.
Oh, God love the ones that carry those huge banners that whole time.
Right. And so sometimes it's hard to even do the camera work because this big banner came out. You had to kind of jump out of the way and get around it. But boy, the pageantry of it all, the colors, of course this year the umbrellas were all colorful too.
Yeah.
So it was great, and looking forward to next year. Next year's going to be on Friday, a few days later than the 22nd, because the inauguration will be the day before of that date. So there's no hotel rooms. So they had to actually put the event later on because it's too big of an event to coincide with that other big event.
Well, hopefully it'll be a good inauguration.
Right. So next year will be a new president. Hopefully, right. I mean, or at least a new term. But we hopefully we'll see a change of heart and change of leadership there.
Yeah, that would be really a big celebration.
Yeah.
So it is, again, a great event, and thank you so much for bringing this footage.
It was worth all the chills.
It really was. It really did turn out really nice. And do you have this on YouTube yet?
No, actually, just finished this before getting to the show. So
it will be that.
It will be. So it's the first showing here. So.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today and for all your hard work. Thank you for joining us today. We hope to see you at the March for Life next year. Again, it's going to be on a Friday, so it'll be a really good event. And we hope that when you look in the mirror the next time, you realize yours too is the face of pro-life. Please join us again next time.